like parts of it, and hopefully like you can check it on your own later, the parts I couldn't really code. So anyway, next.js is a React framework with many cool pre-built features that solves many React problems. Like if you were to scale from like a normal create React app or from scratch, that's just like a very easy explanation for us. And it has like and what problems does it solve? So for instance, like if you need codes to be optimized, like for instance, code splitting, and you want to pre-render pages for performance and SEO. Otherwise, you need to use server rendering or client-side rendering, or maybe you need to write some server-side code to connect your server-side code to connect your React app to your data store. You need to add some routes, and there's many more, but these, Next.js solves it all, pretty much.
Like, could you please explain more about client-side rendering or server-side rendering problem solving using next.js?
Sure. Let's see. So, wait a moment. There's a really good docs about data fetching and things. So
what was the question? Sorry.
So what's the difference between like client-side rendering and server-side rendering?
No. My question was like React already has a virtual DOM, right? So it usually solves the problem for rendering most of the times. Like we update a single component and then it only renders that when we reload it next time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how is like how it's gonna further improve client-side rendering as well as the server-side rendering, like the problem solvings that were discussed just a couple of minutes back.
Maybe I can answer that too. So when you render the page in client side, so there is a couple disadvantage of that. So one of them is if you want to be optimized for SEO search engine, so you need to have certain like meta tags and like so the Google have to detect your elements in the page and a lot of different factors. So in a client-side rendering, it's not possible, and so it's very hard. And then if you want to get ranked in the page in the Google, so Google cannot find you, and it's very bad. So in a server-side rendering, so you generate the page in the server. And when the user asks a certain page to show, so you generate the page inside the server, and then you send the HTML file or like whole structure of the page to your customer or user. So that's one of advantage, and in a certain point, like it's faster because if you have a local, for example, if you have an API in a local instance in a server, and then you're serving your your website from the same server. So if this API call happening in a server side, so that is much faster than like then you call your API from the client side to the server, and then server process and then send back the data to you. So a lot of good things are about SSR. So the good thing is about Next.js is give you all this, all of them out of the box, so you don't need to worry about those too much. Is it the answer for your question?
Yeah, thank you so much for explaining.
Thank you, Ali. Basically, like server-side rendering, it's like really different when you load the page because it has everything in it, and yeah, and it's client side, you'll feel like it takes time when you access this page because it's fetching data after you access the page. We will do like a short demo in probably like in the end after we make APIs. So it will be like, and we will see the difference actually. So it's a little bit more easy to understand. Yeah, so it has many features like, and So Next.js has actually like a company called Zeta like a year ago, but then it changed to like Versal. And after they changed to Versal, they've made very like big updates on Next.js. And it's only been like launched for like 2.5 years, but they've already like done so much and so many companies are using it. And it's been like pretty, like now it's one of the most major, like actually like biggest React framework now that everybody uses. And most of these big updates are just updated within a year. And the latest update was next.js 10, which was 2 months ago. And I'm not going to go into too much details of it, but one of these biggest features are in the top page here, like image optimization, internationalization, analytics, and e-commerce. And that one is, I think it's a little bit big. And I won't really do analytics e-commerce, but we can just see like a shorter demo later. These ones are zero config, SSO. This is the one we were just talking about, pre-render pages. SSG is static site generation and server-side rendering. And static generation, TypeScript support, fast refresh, file system routing, API routes, built-in support, code splitting, bundling, basically like a lot of cool stuff. And unless you're pretty like deep into React, many of these things are like pretty confusing. So we'll just get into code right away before I explain stuff in depth. So you can see that the other frameworks versus CRA, if you compare it with it, CRA is the Create React app. Everybody knows about that. It's officially made by the Facebook team, and it's nice, clean, single clean application. It has a mini setup, but that's it. Like when you want to add routing, as in pages or like many other cool features that I just explained on the top page of Next.js, it doesn't have those things. So you have to like add it from scratch, which is like a ton of work. And there's another framework called Gatsby, and probably everybody knows it too. And this is also a really good framework. It's really fast, but this one is like purely used for, it's good for statically generated pages. So it's not really good for like, what do you say? It's not really good for like huge websites with like 10,000 pages, because you don't want to statically generate like all of the 10,000 pages when you're building it up, because it takes too much time. So it's maybe good for like blog size. It's used a lot for like blogs, for instance, websites, and many like small projects is really good too. Or when something that consists of like MD data, like newspapers and things like that, or yeah. I won't go deep into this one either, but it's compared to Gatsby, I just want to say that it's Next.js has many more features, and like I think it's more scalable. So I just compare like this. Sorry, funny meme. So CRA is starter kit. Gatsby is kind of like ARM for medium-sized scale website, and Next.js is heavily ARM for big websites. Okay, so let's just jump into the demo. So today I'm just going to make like a demo with some of the features that, what do you say, Next.js has. And so I'm just going to show you like the completing app. It's not like something so cool or big because we don't have too much time. So I'm just going to demo something like this. So today I'm just going to use one of the features of Next.js, which is like API making, and maybe routing as well, dynamic routing and dynamic API. And also like this, a little bit of server-side rendering. So this is really simple. It just shows like this list of names. And then if you click one of them, it just goes to like a page. And this data is, I got it from the Next.js API, and these web pages are also statically generated through Next.js, what do you say, features. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Okie dokie.
Just can I add something before you go to the coding part?
Yes, go ahead.
So like I remember we had like 2 years ago. So anyway, every time we had something like this, we had to build 2 different repository or even one repository. But two different directories and then make it another express server, and also like the client side, like a React or whatever the framework we used. So now the Next.js is make it able, like give us this support, like this feature, which we don't need to have any others. And then we can build our API with just with one repository, and the Next.js will handle everything and API generation for us. And that's a very cool feature. Like that's a lot of people like it, and especially me.
Yes, it's really cool because API making is like in 10 seconds over here. You don't have to like install Express, and then you don't have to go to like the things, go to document. That's the baby. Okay, so I'm just gonna actually upload everything on Git in the end. So really quickly, I'm just gonna make a new, sorry about that. I have to close all this stuff. What? Okay, it's taking time for some reason. Okay, so new repo. Boop. Repository name next.js demo December 29, something like that. Create repository, and inside this repository, I'm gonna upload everything. So, and I'm gonna share this later. Set up in desktop, open desktop GitHub, clone. Okay. So in my localhost, just gonna close this old one. Sorry, I'm gonna look for the documents. So I'm gonna make it bigger for you guys. CD GitHub, what was the name? Next.js demo. Like, how do I close this one? It's like, it's a little bit in the way. Yeah. Okay. So right now you can see that this inside this repo is empty. So I'm just gonna start adding Next.js from scratch. So in the top, in the Next.js top page, you can see in the docs that getting started, there's just one command to really create Next.js app, really just create next app. You can do yarn or npx, doesn't matter. I'll just use npx just for the fun of it. You should have the latest npm, because I think it's if you want to get the latest features. So create next app. Oh yeah, shit, I have to make like an app name again. So there's gonna be like another demo file inside of, so it's a little bit like confusing. Okay, so I have to go inside this one. Sorry. Okay, so it's based on Yarn. You can see there's a Yarn. So starting a project is just Yarn dev. It's not Yarn start like the CRA, create React app. So that's a little bit different. So if you start Yarn dev, it's pretty fast. It just starts localhost 3000. So let's go there and see what's going on here. So this is like the starter UI for Next.js. Pretty simple, and we're just gonna add stuff on top of this one. So before we add stuff in here, like we can actually go and jump inside the code, not this one, sorry, and see what's inside here. Okay, I'm just gonna stop it a little bit. Code. Okie dokie. So what's going on here? So we have in this codes files, we have like a pages next something. We don't really need to, we don't care about these two files. We're not going to ever see it inside node modules. So these pages and, well, public, we're not going to use today, but I can explain about it later. Mostly we're going to use pages and styles. So what's going on here? So we have pages and index.js. So this is the starter file of well, actually, this is the very top file, underscore app.js, but we're not going to use anything in here. Mostly, we won't add any components in here too much. We don't want to. We want to add stuff in index.js. So this is where all the things happen. So as you can see, like the pages is a feature of next.js. It generates like a page automatically. So you don't have to add React router or anything to make like an extra page. So that's one beauty of Next.js. It's also in the documentation, if you want to see it, basic features. So if you see here, if you just add like a file and the component inside the pages, it just creates a page. So let's just demo that quickly. So in here, so I'm just going to make like a page that we're going to use today. So I want to make a person page. Wait, sorry about that. Person.js page. And right now I didn't add anything, so it won't show anything. This thing is in the way. How do I delete this thing on the top? Oops. Okay. So let's just add a component. Start making a component very simple. Const person. Oops. Let's just do H1 just for the fun of it. This is a React-Dojo. Meetup. And export this, export default person. So you probably would have noticed at this point that you don't have to import React from React like you have to do with Create React app. The Next.js already skips that part for you. So this is pretty simple and nice. I love it. So let's see. So project is not running yet, so I'm going to run the project again, yarn dev. And let's see, localhost 3000 will show. Let's see if the page is generated. So what was the page called? Person, I think. So page is already there. I just added one file, one component, one line of code, and this is, they already added like a page for me. How simple is that? And also, they have not just pages, but they have, what do you say? Nested pages. So for instance, if I make person folder and I put this person.js inside there, oops. And I'm just going to change this to index.js because I still want the same, name. It does nested too. So for instance, not index.js, if I add like 1.js, and let's just do it again. Const 1. To return. Oops. My computer is very buggy. This is a single page. Okay, so I did person 1. I'm actually not sure if it generates number, but let's see. So if I do -1, okay, it does not show -1. Oh, I forgot to export it. Sorry, export default 1. Yeah, so it also has nested features like this. So that's pretty cool. And another thing we're going to work on today is dynamic routing. So another cool feature about Next.js is that they have dynamic routing. What the heck is that? So if you see in the, yeah, in the official docs, this part, pages with dynamic route. Next.js supports pages with dynamic routes. For example, if you create a file called pages post / brackets id.js, then it will be accessible at post 1, post 2, etc. Ooh, that's actually pretty cool. So today, like I showed you before, if you click on one person, it will show one page. So I want to dynamically render the people's pages. So I don't have to make like pages every time like a person is added, because it will be too much work and then it's not like updatable, to be honest. So instead of putting this one thing, I don't want to, like this single page, I want to make this id.js. So whenever I add a person, it's as in the data, it will just automatically generate like a page for me. So right now it will not show, I think, anymore. Well, it does show, sorry. Yeah. So, but it will still show with like 4, 5 because we didn't set anything there. So far, so good. So yeah, so let's just start making the top page then. So the top page was like just a list of data. I'm just going to show the list of data and link it to go to a single page. So this is the top page. I don't need all this stuff, to be honest. Let's just go to the top page in localhost. So I'm just going to delete most of it, really. So from footer to blah, 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 to main, I'm just going to delete stuff here. And all we have is head. But before we go further, I do want to explain what the hell is going on with the styles here. Although we're probably not going to go too much on styles because we don't have time. Though another cool feature about next.js is that it has already CSS, pre-made CSS features for use to user right away. So you can see here, this class name has a object called styles, and it accesses like a container. So where does this come from? It comes from this import styles home. So, and next.js, you can make styles into like objects and make it accessible inside like inside your component. Well, previously you just had to do CSS and make like a super duper like long, what do you say, styling name, like home card, left side or right side or something like that. But now you don't have to do that anymore because you can access it with objects like this. So all you have to do is really just call your CSS home.module.css and add this module thing word into it. And that's also in the top page here, built-in CSS support. Where'd it go? Like this. So this is really simple and straightforward to use. If I wanted to add like more objects or more styles into, I just make a new CSS name and add it in there. So for example, like right now I deleted everything for here, so I don't have it, but let's just add something here. If I call this my style class name React-Dojo, color red or something. And I can, because I already import this home module inside, where did I add it? Index. So if I wanted to change this title name, oh, sorry, this is the head, so that doesn't count, sorry. React-Dojo practice. And I can just add my class name the same way as like an object. So what was the name called? React-Dojo? I actually forgot it. React-Dojo, yep. So if that's the case, if I did this correctly, it would show this React-Dojo practice title in red. Ta-da!
Can you inspect that
What's up?
text in the page?
Even this one?
Yep, just inspect it to see.
Yeah. So where do you want to look? Network?
No, in elements section. Just
Okay.
inspect that element.
It adds like a class name here.
So just I want to show this one. So CSS module is preventing to have a similar CSS in the page. So for example, you have the same React Dojo class for different components. So, and then you use it like for example, like a lot of times you use a similar name, like a container wrapper for different file. So when you use a CSS module, so it's like it's generating new, like a kind of adding extension and to the name, the class name. So it's preventing to have a similar name and then conflicting between your CSS in the page. So it's very useful for the bigger projects. I don't, yeah, just that's one explanation I was trying to add to your. Thank you. Sorry.
Merci, Ali. Sorry, I'm just checking how it's still 6 p.m. Okay, we have 1 hour left. Chop chop. So let's go. Thank you, Ali. So yeah, so we won't add styles, but you are free to add styles to your thing and then make it like nicer looking as much as possible. Okie dokie. So that's styles. So let's just add stuff here. So pretty simple. I'm not going to like be like a super designer or anything. I'm just gonna add data in here today. So I just want to add like a list here of names. So name can be something. For some reason, the example I got was from Star Wars, so I just do Luke Skywalker. So I want to show like this, for instance, but not like writing each line, but I want to get it from the data and call this from the API and show it here. Darth Vader. Did I get the spelling right? So something like this. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just gonna go to my cheat sheet. Okie dokie. Okay. So, okay, let's get the data. Let's make the data first. So usually or normally you'd want to get data from the database, but today we don't have time to do that. We're just gonna add data in our local and then just make an API and call it from there. So I'm just gonna make a folder called data on the top, same level as like public or pages. And inside here, I'm just gonna do names.js maybe. And inside here, I am just going to create like a bunch of like objects, like a data. Okay, so where did oh yeah. So this one is also going to take time if I do it like one by one. So I'm just going to copy paste, sorry, but I shared in the chat the code that I'm actually using this, and all the data comes from there. So you can also copy and paste it if you like. So pretty simple, straightforward. I'm exporting like a JavaScript object with people's names and data, Star Wars, and they have like this bunch of data. So and I want to make an API first for this. So API. So we talked in the beginning about like that API was great in this next.js, and there's already like an example API in your starter kit here. So inside pages, there's a folder called API, and it already has like an example file called hello. That's it. This is like already an example of one API. And to access this API or to fetch data, all you have to do is just do /API/hello.js. So let's see. In localhost, I'll just add /API/hello. And it already gives me like a JSON file of this data that it just gave me back. So in this example, it just gave me this one name, Jane Doe. So that's what I'm getting. But it's as simple as that. You don't need to import Express. It just has everything in the code for you. And if you want to read further, again, there's like, API features here. And it's so simple and fast that I'm just crying over all like this hard time I had with Express. And I think this was also like a very it was a recent update within a year. So if you haven't worked on Next.js for a year, you'll be like, that's so cool. because I thought so too. Like I was in mat leave and I didn't notice this thing. So yeah, so let's just make an API for this data. So, and to order to make an API, you have to put it inside this API folder. It does have to be called API, and so because it's already preset by next.js like that. So I want to call people.js, this API file. So if I want to access this, I'll just do /API/people. So okay. So I want to access the data from the data, these names. So I'm just going to do import, what did I call this data? People. Okay, I called names, but I'll just rename this people, sorry, because just to be clear. I'm going to import people from data people JS file. And I'm going to export default function handler. Did I misspell this one? Yeah. And this function will have a request and response. And it will return basically like the data. So the response status, if it's done correctly, will be 200. So I'm not going to go over errors and things like that because that's too much. And I want to return this data as JSON file. So I'm going to convert it to JSON. So people. Okay, simple as that. That's it. I made my first API. Ta-da! So let's see if I actually did this correctly. So if I did this, if I access it on the web, this people, I will be fetching this data of the people correctly in API, in JSON file. So API, I think it was people. Ta-da! Yay, I got the data in JSON file. Simple. So now that I know that my API is working, all I have to do is fetch it. So I want to fetch it in my UI again. So in the top page, index.js, I want to add it here. So how do I do that? So it's pretty much this fetching thing is the same as what you would do with a normal create React app. So let's see. We can just use fetch for now. Okay. So I'm going to do make a, let's see. Okay, I'm just going to use like the example that the code gave me. I want to import a library called SWR. So this is a hook to fetch things. And the good thing about this is that you can kind of access the data and error at the same time. And the code is super like clean and simple. You just have to fetch stuff in like one line. So that's why I kind of like it. And it was used as an example. So all you can have to do is actually, you do have to import SWR. So yarn add SWR on your code. Oops, sorry. Why did I do that? How do I delete that stuff? Yeah, okay. No, why did I do it again? Okay, sorry. Yarn add SWR. Okay, so I'm just gonna start it again. So now that we have that, we can import SWR hook. So import use SWR from SWR. This is kind of like a fetch, but just a short like way of, it's like a hook for fetch. So because it's a hook, it can, what do you say, get data for the returning data, and in this case, data and error, and SWR. So this is like the first beginning, and the first parameter is going to be the API.
It's a use SWR.
Oh yeah, right,
user.
not user. Thank you. So the good thing about this is that you don't have to use absolute path. How do you call this? Not non-absolute path.
Relative path?
Yeah, relative path. Thank you. So that's what I like about as well. Like you don't have to do some configurations about like making it that. Huh? Or props. So in this case, I want to use my UR and use that to fetch it. Also, this isn't documentation, so you can just copy that too and try to do it. So this part is the same as a normal fetch, actually, like that you would do in a JavaScript. So you just want to fetch data for an API. Fetch, then, I'm going to use then, and response equals to res.json. And I'm not doing any catch, what do you say, try catch in errors, because it already gives me an error here. So I want to use this data and put it in here. So we want to map through this because we don't want to repeatedly write codes. So I'm going to do data.map. So this is going to be like a person. And I'm just going to add one of this line. It's like I didn't even need to do anything here. And then delete all the other lines here. So this name is going to come from data. So person dot, I think the data was called name. Let's see. So person.name, I want to just show the name, so I'll just do person.name. And of course, because we're mapping it through, we need to use like a key to, a unique key here. And in this case, it's an ID. Okay, so that's good. We didn't really link it yet. It should show the, oops, wait a second. I have too many things open. Okay, let's go to our top page and see if it shows that list. Okay, actually this is on purpose. It doesn't show map. Why? Because when you load the page, I think the UI loaded first and it's complaining that there's no data here because it's taking time to fetch the data. So what do we have to do here? Well, in this case, I'm actually just going to do if there's no data, return loading. So if it's still, what do you say, running this fetch, it will just show loading. And if there is data, it will actually show this UL list. Let's see. It did show, blah, blah, blah. So let's just refresh and see how it is. So you can see there's loading a little bit and then it shows the list. Voila. Also, if you wanted to use the error, just in case it errors, you can just do same thing, return like error message if there's an error. But in this case, it's highly likely because it's local, unlikely. Okay, so now we have this. So we want to afterwards make each of these lines like a link and then make like a dynamic page out of it. So before that, let me see which way is better. Actually, let's make like a dynamic API first before we make dynamic pages. So not just pages, so both API and pages have dynamic use to it. So in this case, like I want to be able to fetch like data of each person individually and not just the whole thing. For instance, in this case, I just fetched like the whole data. But what if I just wanted like Luke Skywalker's data? I don't need like to get the whole thing. So, but I don't want to like make an API file for each of these people because that will be too much and it's not like scalable. So I can make like a dynamic API file so that, for instance, if I query it with ID1, I can get data for Luke Skywalker, like this whole thing. So you can do that with this API here as well, and that's super useful. So in here, I'm going to make a new folder. And you guessed it, it's the same way as the pages. You can just do id.js inside API. So this inside this one, I just want to query with an ID, and I just want to return that one person's data. So it's just going to mostly be JavaScript, but so I'm just going to import that data thing again. Oops, data. Sport. The name of this, let's you say, component doesn't really matter, I think. You can call it whatever to make it easy to understand because we're kind of just querying with this file name, so the component name does not matter. Person or the function name, handler. You can just call it even get person, I think. So I want to get the ID. So we're passing in like the query ID here and the response. That's the request and this is the response. And so we want to return, we want to filter this data and search for it and then just filter one person. So const filtered people.filter p.id equals ID. So this just means look for all the data inside here, and if the ID that you passed here matches that ID that you're looking for, send, just get that data object.
I think rest should be outside of the bracket.
You are so right. Rest. So, okay, so let's just return full for now, dot status. The same, if it succeeds, we will return JSON filtered. No, wait, sorry. 0. Okay, well, 0 because there's only 1 0. I think the filtered returns in array. In this case, we're only returning one object, but it will still be an array. So that's why it like accesses the first one, which is just the single only one. So let's see. This is the simplest code I can do. So let's see what IDs there are in the people. So there's ID1, ID2, ID3, ID4, ID5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 10 people in here. So let's query, get the API for that people. So number 2, who's number 2? Whoops, something is wrong. Okay, what did I do? Is it people?
Can I see your people.js file?
Yep.
Oh, it's not default. Yeah, that should be fine.
Let's see. What did I do wrong here?
Maybe you can check the log in your
Yeah.
server.
Is it just under API?
Yep.
Use your directory structure.
Let me see. People API. Yeah, it's inside people.api. Oh, did I just maybe no? It's API people. Correct. So when you access it, it should be API dash. Oh, yeah, you're right. Sorry. I had to make like a
Directory for it.
Yeah. So. Oop. So what? Yes. Okay, so that's that. And also, like, I can do access room for people.js, but it's kind of confusing when you have two directories. So I'm going to move that in and just call this index.js. It will do the same thing. So right now. Okay, now let's see if that worked. What did I do? Okay. The people works. Okay, let's see the server. Okay, oh, sorry, yeah. Because I changed files, like the link here is changed as well. Data, yep. And that is also changed. Oops. Now I think it works. Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so that worked. So let's see if number 2 works again. Yay, it worked. I got C3PO. Ba-ba. So also it has 10 people, so it should show whoever's ID I access. What if I access somebody else that's not here? For instance. Well, oh, 10 is here, sorry. 20 or 23. Internal error. Yes, there's an error because there's nobody that has ID 23. In that case, I do have to make like a error message just to and make an if-else statement to not show, like to not make an error at least, or at least send them back a message to say that you don't have that number. So I'm just gonna make like an if-else statement here. Else, whoops. Okay, so if this is ID exists, what? Sorry, I did it in the wrong file. Stupid me. Okie dokie. This one. Okay, so if filtered.length is bigger than 0, because this is an array again, we're just checking the length of an array, and there should be 1 only if it's correct, but well, which is bigger than 0, we should return the status 200 with the data. So if there's no data, as in like the length is 0, we should send back 404. JSON message saying message ID not found or something. So now it should not show this internal server error thing. It should show that message. Well, at least there's something to show. Like you didn't, it's like not like, you don't have to be like crazy about what's going on now. No. So yeah, that's it. This part is the simple as that it can get. So now that I have that ID, and I can finally start making dynamic pages now. So once I have this, let's go back to our page, top page. So we have this data list. Now we want to make each of this a link. So let's import link from next.js. So same as Gatsby, like you don't have to get like a tag. You don't have to do a tag because next.js already has this link component that just clicks internally with like internal URL. It's simple. I think it was linked from next link. So next.js has many components like this that are useful, not just link. So maybe you can check it out later, but for now, we're just going to do link. And documentation says that actually we should look at documentation in this case. This one, link. It's a little bit weird the way they do it. So you do need an A tag inside the link in order to make this work. So, but you don't add anything in the A tag, just like empty A tag. So I think it was inside here, right? Link. To make this clean. What did I do? Gosh. Okay, I'm just gonna write it manually. Person. Before that, I'm just gonna add a tag. Person.name. Just delete that. Okie dokie. So now, how do we link stuff here? So in this case, it just says href about. Whoops. Why did this do this? So we're just going to do the same thing where we want href to connect to, I think it was person dot, and then we want an ID. So this person.id. I think this works, but let's see. So if we connect, this will just show this. This is a single page text. All of them will be the same because we didn't make differences yet. People, person one. Oh, sorry. I'm just gonna go top page first. So all of this should be linked now. You can see this cursor. So I'm gonna click Digs. Yay, this is a single page. Now it's clickable, but it doesn't show like that person's data yet. So now I want to show that person's data. Since we have this single page made already, like why don't we just add stuff in here? So now we want to edit this, this dynamic page. So we want to fetch that single person's data from here using the ID. So how do we get the ID from like when we access that page? So in this case, we can use router and get the query. So this is another feature from next.js, next/router. And the router, this router I think is super cool. Using this hook lets you spit out like an object for routers, router related things. So if you do this use router, pretty simple. And I'm not gonna pass anything in here, and I'm just gonna console log here. Let's just see what's inside. So I'm just gonna console like what is in this router. So let's access this single page, person one. So it should show Luke Skywalker, right? Okay, what did I do? Use router. Oh, did I do user router again? Yep. It's use router, sorry. Okay. So we have this data. So router data refers to like anything that's related to routing objects. So we can see that there's many things here. Path name. So the path name is person-id. And route is like person-id. Events, blah, blah, blah. So, but what we want to get is this ID, remember? So you can find this in the query, ID number 1. So this will change if your page changes, of course. So if you access person number 3, so the query should be ID 4. Voila, so you know that the router is spitting out correct data. So now you want to get that router. So since the router is already in the query, we can just decompose. Holy shoot, I forgot what you call this one. Deconstruct, yeah. Deconstruct the data object here. So, okay. So how can we show this? We can show it in a list like before to make things easier. Or you can make like a table. Just so that you know which like category you're looking for. So this is also from the code that I shared you, the example code. So if you don't want to like write each line, you can do that. It's just a simple table with like name, height, mass, hair color, skin color. This is like the category part, and this is the data part. So this part is going to give me error because it does not have data yet. So I'm just going to skip that part. See, so no CSS whatsoever. So it just shows like a table with no lines. Okay, so using this query now, let's fetch that data with the dynamic API that we just made. So again, we can use SWR to do that. So import use SWR from SWR. So inside this file also, so it's the same deal. I'm going to return, it's going to return error and data with use SWR. And so the query would be this. So instead of accessing to API-people, we just want a single person, and then we just want the ID of it. So whatever is the page's query ID, it will be here. And the second parameter will be the fetch. So this is the same deal as the one we did before. So I'm just going to make a new line to make things cleaner. So this part, after the URL, it's the same as like a normal JavaScript fetch. Fetch, oops. Then response, oops. Yeah, let's just make things simple. JSON. Okie dokie. Console. So let's see if this works. And it's actually the same deal as before. This will not show it will show like no data in the beginning because it takes a little bit of time to query this, but we'll just see it anyway, how it goes. So I want to see the data. What to use SWR? Oh, why do I keep doing user instead of use? Okay, let's just clean that. And in the console, I am supposed to be seeing data. So you can see that in the beginning, like 2 times it looped through and it said there's no data, y'all. But then it said that, oh yeah, there's data, by the way. So you can see that in the beginning, first access this page, it didn't have the data and it just passed through the fetch, and then it came back and looped in the component, and then we got the data. So that means we have to kind of, before we show it in this UI, we have to make like a statement, return something else, UI or message. If there's no data, well, just say loading, I guess, return loading. Loading. So the data will be the same, but at least in the UI, I think it will show loading. Yeah, a little bit, see? It will show loading a little bit. Now that we can do that, we can show, whoops, we can finally show the data inside our UI. So pretty much we just do that. Because the data, I think the object name here is the same as the data here. So all I had to do is just take it out. Yay. Oh, wow, this Anakin Skywalker is really big. So whatever, other pages, let's see. Then, ooh, R5D4. Okay, it's working. What about 11? There's no 11, by the way. So it just does not show anything because there's no data. But if you want to add some like UI to it, of course, you have to say like, oh, there's no page like this or something, 404 page in real situation. But today I don't really care, so we're just going to skip that. So now you can see that we've covered dynamic API and dynamic pages, and how simple it is to make like an API like this. Ba-bam. So what else do we have left? That's pretty much like the gist of this app, but I do want to show you one more thing, the thing we've been talking about, like static rendering and things, server-side rendering. So let's go to the reference here. So this already works as it is, but what if this is like a really, really heavy page and the query is really, really heavy? You want to make it faster, don't you? So to make it faster, you can do pre-rendering with the next.js feature, data fetching here, you think. And you can add like a function called get static props, for instance, and that will already kind of pre-render like the data for you. Like, so for instance, so the API will already run in the backend or server when it's building, and then show it in the UI before we even access like the page or see the UI. So let's try to fix this code to do that. So it's actually pretty simple. If you scroll down, you can see like an example page, how it goes. So remember that we fetched data here. So all we have to do is wrap this fetching part with this get static props, with export async get static props. So that's what I'm going to do. Exactly. I'm just going to copy it because, you know, you can write it by yourself, but I do a lot of spelling mistakes. Okay, whoops. Any questions so far, or you're troubled, or it's good? I'm going to take that as a good. So let's add that on the, before the export default one. So we have to add this anywhere where we're querying data so we can see the difference. So we want to return, instead of post, we want to return data, I guess. So I'm just going to change these posts to data. And this URL will not be this one. One thing about this is that you do have to change this into like a, absolute path. Yeah, localhost 3000 API this is a single page, right? Yeah, so I have to make this into what was it again? API-people, whoops, dash, actually, how can I receive this thing here? I have to probably use query again, I think. I'm not sure if it works, but let's see. And because we're receiving data from here instead of like this local, I'm just gonna not delete it, but just do this. Oops, just comment it out. And then we're gonna receive this as props, like data. Because it's props, basically. So crossing fingers, let's see if this works. If it works, it will do the same thing, but it will just load slightly faster. Okay, not this page. Uh-oh, okay, it didn't work there. And I think it's missing query, right? Probably, because it doesn't do query here.
I think you need to have get static paths for the dynamic pages, but you can try this one on
yeah, the single page. Oh, not this page, right?
Yeah. So you try that
Okay.
one there. So other one, like you have to implement the other one too. So
okay, sorry about that. Cancel, rewind. So we go back to, we're not doing it in this page, sorry, because it's a dynamic page. This works in a static page, I think, not a static, so yeah. So let's just do it on the front because we have the fetch there, the top page. So instead of doing this export default function home, I'm just going to do function home, do export default here, export default home. Oh. And then I'm just going to, was it? Yeah. So I'm just going to copy that again, not dynamic API roots, data fetching, and there's just an example on the bottom. I should not copy as a developer, but I am getting out of maternity leave and I need rehab. Okay, so let's do this. Call host.3000-API, not post, but people. So this does not require like dynamic routing or API, so it's just simple, you just get people. And instead of post, I'm gonna call this data. And we're also gonna call it data. And I don't know, I don't need this validate thing right now, so I'm just gonna not use it. And in home, I'm going to get the data. So which means I don't need this at all. But it won't show the error as well, so I'm just gonna dash that out. Okie dokie. So now the top page should do the same thing. Oh, not person. Whoops, that's it. People. No, not the people. The top page does not have a URL, so it should be like this. What? Data has already been declared. Okay, I did something. Where did I use data?
I think it's in your ID file.
My ID file.
When you went to go change everything back, you had a destructured data in the ID.js.
Press one directory, other one, to the your dynamic. Yeah,
this one?
That one.
Oh, right. Oh, you are so right. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, dokie. Not this one. That's the API. Okay. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. What? Okay, let's refresh that. See if that works. No. No. Did I do? I'm just gonna check this again, see what did I do wrong. Export default 1. Query router, blah, 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 blah. That one looks okay, but What about this top page?
Go down in your code. Yeah, here. So here you have your people. That's right.
That looks right. Props data,
Fine.
exported async, default home, and imported. Yeah. Huh.
Maybe just restart your server one time.
Yep, I will do that. Ooh, it has some stuff, but let's see. Wait, now I'm dead.
Dev has promised APIs explained. Okay, wait. So what is a fail isn't right?
API people failed. Really? Okay.
Oh, so can I see your URL?
Yep.
Is it the URL you pass? HTTPS, HTTP.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, yay. Thank you. Okay. So to compare this, you can see the network. What's the difference between like adding that get static props and not? So in the network, you can see in the beginning, it's already loading this data, which means it already finished like the query, like when we start loading it. And it doesn't have, it's not doing any API call on this page because we already did it. So whereas before, the API was done later. So again, I have to like kind of just cancel this out and see what's the difference here. Okay, this is the same thing you can see, but if I refresh this, you can see in the local host, it doesn't have anything. It's just loading. But then it does like an API call later here. So this is okay because we only have like a little bit of data, but if you are loading like tons of data, you can see like a big change in like how the user will see like page is loading. It will be a lot faster. So this is one good thing about the new feature for next.js that is added recently, and we should really start using it a lot. Yeah, okay, so like technical data I'm gonna finish here, but I want to show you like other features of like Vercel altogether that they added recently. So Vercel has like not just coding update, but many other like what do you say, like website update. I'm not sure how to explain, but they have like we can deploy it on like a website and Vercel, basically like Firebase. They made their own like platform to do that, and also they also made their own commerce like example platform. So it's easy to make like commerce websites easily, and it's easy to connect with BigCommerce, which is their partner for this thing. And then they also added like analytics for that too. So like you can see who's coming in and out. And that's, you can actually see like a demo inside the deployment website. So we can actually see that really quickly because I'm just, as I promised, I'm going to share this code to you. And in that sense, I can just show you like how the deployment works too. So I'm just going to push this into my master. Wait, demo. One thing I'm worried about is that I added like another, what do you say, folder to this, so I'm not sure if it will work, but let's see. So in a Vercel website, in the top you can, this is like my Vercel deployment website, but you can make like, you can basically make like a free account, just like Netlify and just like Firebase, and connect it with GitHub, so it can just import like from GitHub. The same, this is like pretty much straightforward. So because I want to deploy it, I'm just going to import project from Git here. And what was this project name called? Let's Is it this one? Next.js demo. Yep. Cool. Delete. There we go. What? Too many things open. Ah, this one. See. What? Could not. If it exists. Huh?
I think can you open your GitHub account? So yeah.
This one?
Yeah, so you have one demo, it's not in your root directory.
Yeah, okay. I have to take it out from demo, right?
Yeah, so you can go just reset your reset and then just remove your Git and initial it again.
Okay, wait a second. Desktop GitHub. Next. Where'd it go? What? Next. I have too many same names. I should really do something about that. This one. Okay, so delete, you mean this one?
Yeah, so that's so you initial your Git outside of your directory, so that's why. So you push demo instead of like your main directory. So you need to remove that Git and then you add it again to your remote.
Yeah. Oh, bye.
Yeah.
Did I delete yarn?
Yeah, you can do that there. Yeah. So did you
I
move
think
it?
you don't have to delete yarn.
Yeah.
Have to do this.
So you remove that. Now go there and
yeah, it's not connected, so I have to connect it. So again, locate.
Yeah, local.
This one, open. No.
So you have to initial it again. So remove, click remove.
Okay.
And open that from in your code editor. Sorry, in code editor or terminal.
Terminal.
And cancel this. So you said git init.
Git init. Oh yeah, you're right.
Oh, you're in. Oh yeah.
I already have a repo, but it's not connected. Is it? See.
Or maybe you can just deploy another one you have like so.
Maybe you are right. Yeah.
So do you have any other projects in like with Next?
Let me think.
The one you built before? No.
I did actually. Okay, let me just copy paste everything in another one. Like probably that's easier. This one I don't think I have anything. So next tutorial December 29th. Yeah. Oh, CD. Actually, why am I doing it here? Let's do it here. So I'm just gonna copy everything and put it in there. Let's see. So in here, I'm just gonna see this one. The update. Okay, it's still gonna take a little bit of time, is it? Yeah. No. Practice has shit. I was in another branch again. Annoying. CD. Sorry of my language. What was it again? Next.js. CD next.js. What was it called? Tutorial 2. Yeah. Did check out main. I'm not sure when they changed the main name. It was master before, but I'm late on things. Oh shoot. So it doesn't show there because okay. CD git check out practice. Okay, there you go. Now I copy everything. Oop. Except git.
Don't copy that git directories, I think.
Yeah, I think so. The git check out name. Or maybe you can just like upload this me practice, but let's see. It already has node modules. So there's nothing. Okay, cool. But it didn't copy correctly. Okay, let me see if I can actually just deploy this. Branch. Oh, wait, not main. Compare and pull request. Oh, I can just pull request. What the hell? Okay. Now it's on the main, finally. Okay, let's see the main. Okay, now the code is on main finally, so I can deploy, I think. Deploy. So same as Netlify, it shows like the building status here. And if all is wealth is good, it will just give me a URL for free, and then we can see that inside this account. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a next.js project to use Versal. I think you can just use anything, just like Netlify. It's just like another fine option to use. But the good thing about this Versal deployment is that you can actually see the new features. Oh, build. Okay, build error. So let's just skip that and see something else that I deployed yesterday. For instance, this I tried like copying that next.js commerce, and I actually deployed it in my website. It will give you this whole thing for free for you to use and just edit as much as you want. This is like so they just have like they're focusing a lot on like e-commerce and people and analytics now. So that's something they recently added like 2 months ago. So it's really new. And in the Versal, if you go here, you can see that there's this analytics tab here automatically. And okay, well, right now it has no data because there's not enough data available to scale and blah, blah, blah yet. But it already has like a somewhat free tier of seeing what it is like, the analytics. And so that's pretty cool, I think, if you're really into the e-commerce or people visiting your website. Otherwise, settings, I thought there was a lighthouse somewhere, but I forgot where it was. Okay, never mind. I think that's pretty much it for today's session. So I couldn't cover everything that's going on in Next.js. There's many cool features like this one, but trust me, like if you start using it, you will see how cool everything is. So in conclusion, I really like Next.js. I would love to use it in all my projects. I did say Next.js was good for scaling, but it's also good for like any small websites because really you don't have to use any add any routing, just make like a static website. And you can see that like there's Showcase and many like big companies are already using it for any website. So yes, but if you really care about like how fast your website is and it's completely static, maybe Gatsby is a good choice for you because it's just really static. It's already like everything is HTML once you load the page. So yeah, I just wanted to show you Next.js and my findings for today. And I think it's almost 6 p.m. So we can wrap this up. So how was it, guys? I'm gonna stop my video. How did you like it? And is there any questions?
Amazing, Ayako. Great job.
Hi, Paul.
Got to learn a lot. Great job.
The API was cool.
Yeah, that's very cool feature.
I'm muted.
And so I just want to add that we do use the next.js at BuildDirect for our main platform, which is like we kind of like satisfying to work with it in a big projects, and it's handling like almost like any feature we needed, so it's providing us for us, so we don't need too much to worry about like SSR and how to handle it. So they have a good documentation, and it covers everything. And you guys, I suggest you guys go and use it for your projects, and let us know if you made any project with it. Then share with us in a Slack channel. We will happy to see it. And if you have any question regarding anything about this meetup or any problem you have with your personal project, so you can just ping me, ping Ayako or Paul. We will usually answer it very fast.
Oh, some of my former students are Cornerstone here. Hi, Ken. Okay.
I'm about the video. I'm not sure where can I post it because it's very long. Probably I will upload it in YouTube and then share the link in the Slack.
Uh-oh.
Is there any other question, guys? Yeah, we are open for question.
Yep. Like, since we're just in quarantine and we're dying to talk to people, we might you can just like unmute yourself and like start talking.
And or I don't know what's his or her name, like ask about the GitHub repository. We will share a repository with you guys, so you can just go and clone it and then see everything.
Oh, I'll just put it in the comments if right now if you want to see it. But we will also put it in the meetup group. I think both places.
And a Slack.
Yeah. So let's see. So this is today's code. Oops.
Of course.
Sorry, what is F code?
Can you share the slides too? So Felipe asked.
You can Slack it or something, or dump it on the meetup page.
Sure, but the slide, to be honest, is like really nothing. I didn't really put anything to it except like the comparison of what do you say, like frameworks, because everything is basically written in the document. So I just use the documents. But I'll just copy the link of the slides anyway if you want to see it.
Just one question. Like, I know it's too much, like, guys, like if you guys like this meetup, so would you like go to the meetup page and then comment it there and then say something nice, and so we know like how many people liked it, so we're gonna be like, at least we're gonna plan for the next one with like this.
Yeah, definitely we'll do that.
Yeah.
Okay, I hope you liked it and it was easy enough. Yeah.
So I think there's no other questions.
Oh, I have a question. For the API feature in next.js, do you guys, how much do you make use of it in production, or do you spin like a null servers for the backend API?
So unfortunately, for if you ask me, in my actual project we work on, so our project is built on the older version Next.js, so it wasn't API, it wasn't there at that time, but we use a Lambda function, except like for custom server and with Lambda. but definitely we want to upgrade our migrate to the new versions, and that time we will use it. So I don't have that much experience with it, so right now, so I cannot tell you that. But I
Yeah,
think
I was just wondering if there's any concern with tying like backend APIs with your front end client server, because like it might make scaling a bit difficult later on.
so. Definitely, like I think I'm not sure about that, but if you use like I think RESTful for the deployment, I think it's good idea to use them, because everything's gonna be in the same network, so gonna be pretty much fast. And then also they cover, it's their services, right? So, and then next year is their product, so everything is optimized for it. So I don't think that you need to be worried about anything. But if you want to use that and then deploy to the different services, and then like except like, for example, you deploy your APIs to the Lambda or any other service provider. So just maybe there is some concern, you have to take a look at it. But we don't use it, so I cannot say anything about that.
It's still 1 year old, I think. And then for big projects that's already like that big enough, I think they've already run for more than 1 year. So it's really hard to migrate, I think. But newer projects done within this year might be using it. So if you're using it, you're the pioneer.
All right, thanks.
Any other question? Okay, so I think we have to wrap it up and then say goodbye to everyone. Thank you for joining us, and hope to see you again. And yeah.
Yeah, so happy to see everybody. Like, let's stay safe and cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Thank you guys. Bye. Have a good night.
You too.
Oh, hi.